ओमज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितमेन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितमेन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं गुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं गुरुन् वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथं मितं तं सजीवं साहृतं साहूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखावितांश हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमस्ते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवाचार्य गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. Welcome to this discussion on Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are right now in chapter number 4. So till date, we have gone through the first 4 sections of Bhagavad Gita, this chapter 4. And right now we are in the first part of first shloka of the transcendental knowledge, which is glory of Divya Jnana. So what we all this time we understood the different ways of acquiring knowledge, and Krishna is telling that whatever work you do, finally you get knowledge. So knowledge is the ultimate everywhere. Now that is a method by which we can get that knowledge. That is what Krishna is going to talk now. So we will have. Let us go to the shloka. Let me share my screen. The shloka is 4.34. This is a very common shloka. So before we get into this shloka, we need to understand the flow of thought. The thought is that till the shloka, Krishna has talked about various yajna. One should practice, one should practice to get knowledge. Now he will talk about various fruits of knowledge. So, so if you see, so we have different sacrifices, and so literal sacrifice is nishkama karma yoga, and and worship of devtas, it is discussed in 4.25, and so if you see here, the third section principally was talking about how to get jnana through karma, and this section 4 is talking about various sacrifices which different people do and the knowledge they get. So that is what we saw here. So these are the different sacrifices. Now there are different paths to acquire knowledge, which is most appropriate for us. So if Krishna tells this, then it will be very nice. And that is what he is going to give in this section. So Krishna is explaining it in this section. Krishna will talk about approaching the spiritual master and the fruits of the spiritual knowledge. Okay, let us go to the shloka. Advidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadikshayenti te jnanina tattvadarshina. So this is one of frequently quoted shloka by Srila Prabhupada. So there are 3 important points here. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Pranipat means by approaching a spiritual master. Pariprashnena by submissive inquiries. Sevaya by rendering service unto him. So Tad refers to the knowledge that is being referred here till now. This knowledge can be summarized in one line from shloka number 4.33. So what is in 4.33? Sarva karma akilam partha. All sacrifices of work culminated transcendental knowledge. Sarva karma akilam partha jnane parisamaapyate. All sacrifices of God culminated transcendental knowledge. This knowledge and understanding can be obtained by how? By which process? By pranipatena pariprashnena seva. These are obtained by approaching a spiritual master through submissive inquiries, rendering service unto him. Then what happens? Upadikshayanti. Upadikshayanti refers to initiation into what? Te jnana, into the knowledge. Jnaninas tattva darshana. Jnaninas means one who has seen the truth. The focus here is on jnana, knowledge. Here, um, so here it is not either bhakti or bhakti man. It is jnaninas. Of course, Krishna will tell how jnana will culminate into bhakti, but right now it is jnaninas. So in 7.19, um, Krishna is telling Bahunam Janmanam Ante Jnanavan Man Prapadyate Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sah Mahatma Swadullabha. After many births and deaths, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders unto me, knowing me to the cause of all causes and all that is. Such a great soul is very rare. So in current flow of thought, Krishna is mainly focusing on how Karma Yoga matures to knowledge and how this knowledge purifies the soul and liberates the soul from material miseries. How will one get this jnana? By approaching the spiritual master. This spiritual master is referred here as jnaninas. In chapter 3, we studied Krishna is describing Krishna is describing how living entities consciousness is covered by us. Avartam jnanam etena jnanino nitya vairina kamarupena kauntaya dushpurainane anilena cha. Just a moment. As the wise living entities, pure consciousness becomes covered by his eternal enemy in the form of lust, which is never satisfied and which burns like fire. So, so this is what Krishna is telling. Fundamentally, this verse says that all of us are jnanis. We all have knowledge. Currently, this knowledge is covered. Jnanina Nitya Vedina covered. Spiritual master uncovers this knowledge from material conditions. Soul by nature is jnani, but it is covered by lust. Thus, the soul becomes Anyani or ignorant. Spiritual master removes this covering. How? Jnaninas Tattva Darshina. So if you go to Shloka number, Jnaninas Tattva Darshina, because he has seen the truth. This way, he can explain the truth to us. We should understand this verse in details. There are at least three things we can do. Let us see here. So three things. One is pranipatena, other one is pariprashnena, third one is sevaya, service mindedness. So spiritual master is like a coach for us. The coach is often most important shaper of an athlete's success. The systematic and sympathetic guidance of coach is is indispensable for an aspiring athlete. When we start practicing spiritual life, we become spiritual athletes. So, like material athletes, we too need a coach. The spiritual coach, known usually as guru, is also more essential on spiritual path because the journey is mostly internal and the terrain not easily perceivable. So, in this Bhagavad Gita Shloka 4.34, Krishna states, Guru, spiritual master, as the seer of truth, Tattvadarshi. Due to having made the journey and linked with Krishna's supremation, the Guru can clearly show us what we can barely see. So, to ensure that Guru becomes an effective channel for Krishna's vision, we need to center our relationship with him, with Guru, on this verse of Gita, which is 3-point guideline. This guideline can be represented as HIS, humbleness, inquisitiveness, service-mindedness. His pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. I'm just sharing my screen. So it can be written as humbleness, inquisitiveness, service-mindedness. Pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So humbleness, what does it mean? As we can discern the internal landscape, we need indispensably an attitude of humbleness. I don't know the way, you do. Please be my guide. Then we realize that we are not this body, but soul. And the soul is eternally linked with Krishna. We need to know the way to go to Krishna. How should we do it? We should take shelter of Krishna. We should do the same thing when we go to doctor. We tell him that we are sick. I have severe body headache. Please help me out of the sickness. If the patient behaves as if he knows more than doctor, then the doctor cannot treat the patient. So we need to be humble to spiritual master to get the medicine to come out of this problem of life. And second important thing is inquisitiveness, pariprashnena. Humbleness is not good enough. We need to ask questions with the aim of understanding things in the right perspective to come out of the sickness. This injection of Gita indicates it calls not only for a blind faith, and not for a blind faith, it's not only for a blind faith, but in the name of humbleness, but for development of our capacity for spiritual perception. So it is not blind faith with humbleness, but it is our capacity to understand spiritual topic and perceive it in a much better way. By this perception, we start seeing for ourselves what Guru is saying. We see that Sanatan Goswami is inquiring Chaitanya Mahaprabhu these things. Let me so that is done beautifully in um, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is taken from Madhya Lila, chapter 20. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructs Sanatana Goswami the science of absolute truth. के आमी के आमाया जारे ताकत त्रया इहानी नाहि जाने के माने हित आया. Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? Do not know this. How can I be benefited? So we can see that then there is one more shloka, 103. साध्य साधन तत्व पूछिते न जानी कृपा करी सब तत्व कह त आपानी. Actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life and process for obtaining it. Be merciful upon me. Please explain all these truths. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives answer to this question. If you see, Madhya Lila, so he gives answer, Mr. Sanatana Goswami, the science of absolute truth. He gives here, till here he gives, till chapter text number, text 120, he gives the instruction. So the point is that when we do spiritual inquiry, we develop jnana chakshu. This capacity to spiritual perception, this helps us to do deep thinking. So if you see till here, he gives an answer. So till here, if conditions will become Krishna conscious by mercy of saintly person and help him to become Krishna conscious, conditional is liberated from clutches of Maya, produce him. So what is this shloka? Sadhu Shastra Kripaya Adi Krishnonmukha Aya Se Jiva Nistare Maya Tahare Chadaya. If conditions will become Krishna conscious. So that is exactly the theme of shloka 4.34 here. The point is that when we do spiritual inquiry, we develop this jnana chakra. This capacity to spiritual perception, this helps to do deep thinking. This helps us to do deeper observation. This helps us to understand that the promises of this world are all false. We should see the truth of Bhagavad Gita being demonstrated. This will help us see what spiritual master is seeing. So in this world, we see people are happy seeing TV serials, seeing movies, going to bar, taking alcohol, dancing with opposite sex, cheering in sports match. We also see movies have happy ending, novels have happy ending. All this gives us a feeling that this is a place of happiness. So where is the distress or miseries? However, when we start seeing things in a deeper perspective by guidance of a spiritual master through inquisitive and humble inquiry, we will be able to connect the advertisement on the road where people are smiling and happy in contrast to the people who live on the road are poverty stricken and unhappy. The people in road are frowning, sulking, skulking. In real life, people are in miseries. Thus, we need to understand the deeper perspective of this contrast. Humbleness, of course, is fantastic launchpad for devotional service. We need to get deeper perspective for this. We need to be inquisitive. This inquisitiveness is with the motive of seeking to understand rather than challenging. Thus, this humbleness and inquisitiveness, we come to a platform that I do not know things in real perspective. Kindly teach me. The next important thing is to implement the knowledge in our life. Apply this knowledge in life. Humbleness and inquisitiveness tell us that we are sick, we know the cure. But unless we take the medicine, we cannot become healthy or come out of the sickness. This taking medicine is service mindedness. So let me share my screen. So the third important point is service mindedness. So service mindedness, the destination of our spiritual journey is realization that loving service to Krishna is our only source of lasting fulfillment. We progress towards that realization by serving Krishna as per Guru's instruction. So some key instructions like I am not the body, I am the soul. I need to serve Krishna in my eternal position. Let me serve Krishna, serve in the right way. These are realizations. However, the most transformative realization is that Krishna and Krishna alone is the source of all enjoyment. So material world promises some enjoyment, but in reality it is all suffering only. Serving to Krishna will grant me the greatest fulfillment in my life than anything else. This is the deepest realization. Once we get this realization, once we get this conviction, then the temptation of this world will not allure us. How do we get this? By living according to the instructions of spiritual master. We may not feel satisfaction serving Krishna right now. However, if we keep serving Krishna regularly with as much devotional attitude as we have, gradually we will develop our affection for Krishna. We will get the realization also that Krishna is the only source of happiness. That realization we will get. Thus, this humbleness, inquisitiveness, service mindedness works in three progressive steps. Humbleness enables the Guru to show us the way. Inquisitiveness enables us to start seeing the way, start seeing things in the right way ourselves. And service mindedness enables us to move along the way. So if I'm not humble, Guru cannot show me the way to happiness. So I ask, I do not know, please tell me. Inquisitiveness helps us to internalize what Guru is telling us. Service mindedness helps us to implement and apply the knowledge in our life. This gives deeper understanding to us. The acting in Krishna consciousness helps us to reinstate on the path of going back home, back to God. Thus, by following Tadvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya, we get the spiritual knowledge. Now, let us see in the purport, there are some interesting points which Prabhupada is making. Let us go through that. So, first line, if you see, the path of spiritual realization is undoubtedly difficult. So, the Lord therefore advises us to approach a bona fide spiritual master in the line of disciplining succession from the Lord Himself. Normally, we say bhakti is very easy to perform. So, then why Prabhupada is telling it is difficult? So, among various spiritual paths, bhakti is the easiest. However, the bhakti has its own difficulties. The greatest of that being fighting our inner demons. The inner demons are called as Shadripu, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. These keep us enslaved so that we can keep serving them life after life, life after life. So to free ourselves from these enemies, we need guidance of Guru. So there is one more line which Prabhupada is mentioning 1 minute. Yeah. Therefore, mental speculation or dry arguments cannot help lead one to the right path. Now, by independent study of books of knowledge can one progress in spiritual life. So this tells that we may think of world situation and read books, but they cannot help us overcome these enemies. When we say these enemies, Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Moha, Matsarya. So these six enemies will not be able to hold. May there be, we may probably do some correction in the direction. However, to get rid and get right progress, get rid of them and get right progress, we need guidance of the spiritual master. The spiritual master will test the desire and seriousness of the disciple. If the disciple is serious and the desires the spiritual progress, then spiritual master imparts the knowledge. The disciple needs to approach the bona fide spiritual master. There are many people who claim to be spiritual master. Then we need to understand and approach the bona fide spiritual master and not fall prey to the non bona fide spiritual masters or bogus gurus. When the disciple approaches the genuine spiritual master, the spiritual master checks the disciple. So in our ISKCON, we have the practice of following four regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds, attending Mangala Aarti, focus on Shastra study, and to confirm our desire. This confirms the desire and seriousness in spiritual life. The bona fide spiritual master comes from a bona fide disciplining succession. So he must come from a bona fide parampara. So if you see Shloka number 4.2, Evam parampara prapta imam raja rishayo vidu sakalena mahata yogo nashta parantapa. So this supreme science was thus received to sign of discipline succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in due course of time, succession was broken, and therefore science as it is appears to be lost. Science as it is appears to be lost. So this parampara we can understand at two levels. The parampara is lost now with Arjuna Krishna has established the parampara. So this parampara we need to understand at two levels. Link not just the head, but the link of hearts. What does this mean? You can see the books of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Prabhupada. There is complete difference in the way they put their content, presentation, style, manner of approach. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati was an distinct individual, and Srila Prabhupada is a distinct individual. The disciple need not have to repeat verbatim of the spiritual master. He is not a robot to repeat his spiritual master word to word of what he has heard from his master. This can be done in some situations. However, this does not describe the spiritual master. Spiritual master lives principles taught in scriptures. When the disciple sees how the spiritual master is living the life of selfless sacrifice, disciple gets inspired. He gets inspired to live according to these principles. Thus, the principles get transferred from art of the spiritual master to the art of disciple. This brings link in the heart. This link is link of selfless devotion and selfless sacrifice. When the disciple becomes inspired and elevated, he becomes the spiritual master. He will then inspire the future generations of prospective disciples. These disciples are inspired, elevated, and transformed by these principles of devotion and sacrifice. This is bhakti. This bhakti is link between the hearts of spiritual master and the disciple. This is link of parampara. This is link of hearts. So what does parampara do? Piety transforms. So there is something called as piety. Piety transforms into spirituality when there is a direct connection to Guru and a commitment to the process. Yeah. Many people may have piety. What does piety mean? People have good belief. They have belief in doing good, be good, and don't be sinful, don't be immoral, etc. This piety is itself not spirituality. Piety can be in mode of ignorance, goodness, any one of this. But the spirituality is above piety. It is above mode of goodness. This piety transforms into spirituality when we are connected to bona fide spiritual master and committed to the process. Commitment is to serve the spiritual master. The process is pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So there are people who will claim that I can have direct relationship with God. Why do I need spiritual master? What is Guru's role? Like that, they can ask many questions. So for the answer to that is that Guru does not come in between us and God, but he removes what is between us and God, the wall of false ego. He removes this wall of misconceptions, misconceived desires. Okay, so soul and super soul are neighbors, as it is described in Mundaka Upanishad. Samani Vrikshe Purusho Nimagno Anischa Shochati Muhya Manaha Tustam Yat Pashyati Anya Isha Asya Mahimana Eti Vitashokaha. So what does that mean? The living entity is subject to reactions of fruity activities, whereas Lord simply witnesses such activities and bestows a result. According to living entity's desire, he is wandering from one body to another and from one planet to another under the direction of Supreme Personality of Godhead, Paramatma. So this is coming from both Mundaka Upanishad as well as Shvetashara Upanishad. Both have this. So this is talking about two birds in the same tree. So the whole thing is that I am independent living being. I am not the body. If somebody says that I am independent living being, I am the body. I can enjoy the body as much as possible. This wall of this entire thing about Krishna consciousness is a misconception. This misconception results in misconceived desire. These desires take, so this is a complete, this type of thinking is not correct. And this type of thinking takes us away from Krishna. So this idea of being independent, the idea that we are body and all, takes us away from Krishna. The spiritual master gives the disciple the knowledge and the process by which this wall between us and Krishna can be broken. The wrong knowledge and misconceptions can be broken down. The misdirected desires are broken down by spiritual master. Then is instruction to chant the holy name, follow the four regulatory principles, and so on. These instructions turn our consciousness away from material world towards Krishna. So Guru does not come in between us and Krishna. He actually clears the path to Krishna. Ultimately, he connects us with Krishna. Without spiritual master, it is not possible to know authentic bhakti. He who is guru, when somebody says that he is his own guru, he has fool as his disciple. So there are people who tell that they do not need any guru. He considers himself as his guru. This disciple is me and me is his guru. So this means that I am a fool. We cannot cure ourselves. We need to understand this. By our own effort, we cannot cure ourselves. Krishna stays in our heart and he loves his devotee. When we say this, there are some people who question that Krishna is not available himself directly. If Krishna loves me, why should I go to Guru? Krishna can do whatever he wants. So that way, people ask many questions. So there is no point in answering this question because these are pointless. The point is that what Krishna wants us to do, that is most important. What we want is not so important. So this is categorically declared in this verse that we should approach a spiritual master and understand from him about the science of Krishna. So this is the most important thing. So now Krishna loves everyone. Krishna's love is reciprocal. So Krishna loves people who love him. Krishna loves his devotee. So, who are these devotees? These devotees sacrificed everything for Krishna's sake through the pure devotion for him. So, those who have sacrificed everything for Krishna's sake, when Krishna wants to reward these devotees, he floods their hearts with love for him, ultimately taking them to his own abode in the spiritual world. He also rewards them in this world. However, devotees do not want anything from this world. Devotees are free from any attachments of this world. So, how can Krishna glorify and reward devotees in this world? Krishna grants them authority to show and grant others the way out of this world. This world is a place of misery. The most precious gift is in this world is the way out of this world. The most precious gift in the jail is the key for the lock of the exit door which takes the thief out, the jailer, the inmate out. The material world is like a Durg, which means it is a jail. Durga Mata is the presiding deity of this world. She keeps every living entity trapped in this world. She has a threshold and she will inflict the souls with threefold miseries. These threefold miseries keep pushing the souls that they have to go back to Krishna. The three modes of material nature pull us away from Krishna. The threefold miseries born of action is done in modes of nature push us to Krishna. These miseries will reform us. The most important thing in this world is to get out of this world. The knowledge which helps us to give this knowledge. A person who is authorized to give this knowledge is the spiritual master. The soul who has given is everything to Krishna, who has surrendered himself to Krishna. So he is the spiritual master. These are the pure devotees of Lord. Lord says through this verse that these pure devotees have seen the truth. Hence, they are the distributors of this knowledge of going out of this world. This knowledge will not arise in our heart without being submissive. We may have theoretical knowledge, but this will not transform us to become pure devotee. Thus, what we need is a transcendental knowledge. This knowledge is possible only by pranipatena, pariprashnena, seve, humbleness, inquisitiveness, and service-mindedness. Without this, we cannot redirect things uh, to this of this world in service of Krishna. This can happen only by serving the spiritual master. Bhakti will come by this. Basically, we need to understand that Krishna is in loving relationship with his devotee. In addition, Krishna, we need to glorify these devotees as those who want to go back home, back to Godhead. Krishna says that you serve the prospective devotees and you surrendered to the exalted devotees. This submissive service attitude will help them go back home, back to God. Thus, knowledge comes by surrendering to spiritual master. Spiritual master is compassionate, very kind and caring, who guides us to come out of this material existence. Now, there are people who say that is not necessary to have any guru or go to any guru. The irony is that those who are saying that are taking the position of guru. Thus, by following these people, we are considering him as our guru. Thus, we have to follow someone. Therefore, resenting and rejecting the idea of following someone, we should follow the person who is bona fide. Thus, we need to redirect that principle of accepting Guru with proper application of knowledge in choosing the right authority. So that is very, very important. By this, we can become purified, enlightened, and liberated. So now we need to understand what is the effect of accepting the authority of Guru. This is explained by Krishna in the next verse. So what is the effect of accepting the authority of such a group? So let us see that. Let me share my screen. यज्ञत्वा न पुनर्मोहम एवं यास्यसि पांडवा येन भूतानि अशेषानि द्रक्ष्यसि आत्मनि अतो मयि. Just a moment. So having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge, you will see that all living beings are put part of the supreme knowledge, are but part of the supreme, or in other words, they are mind. That means what? That pidi pranipate. So if we follow humbleness, inquisitiveness, and then service-mindedness, by following this, what happens? We are we will never fall into such illusion because we have done service for Krishna. And by this service, we are ensured that we are not falling back into this illusion. So that is what Krishna is telling in this shloka. This shloka is also a very lengthy one. Explanation for this shloka is also very lengthy one, and lengthy one. So let us do this in our next discussion. I will stop here. Thank you very much. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। आनंद ग्रंथराज भगवद गीता की जय, अत्तर कोटि वैष्णव की जय, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। और हरे हरे कृष्णा।